ban.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Netolic Raid Call Pro League West Division Winners Bracket Round 1. And this is our final playoff match for the first round of the Winners Bracket in this tournament. After this, we will be waiting until the 17th of April for the next Losers Bracket matches. This is, of course, twitch.tv/NetolicTV, NETOLIC-TV, your primary English cast for the entire tournament, and particularly for the Western games. I am Vickermont. This is my co-caster El Presidente. You want to say hi?
Hello.
All right.
I am awake.
Yeah.
I'm awake now.
You're awake. Good. This morning you seem a little tired.
No, I almost fell asleep at the keyboard this morning.
That's not good. But up and at 'em now. Now it's a little bit more prime time for us. It may be prime time for you, depending on where you're watching from. Hi to all our folks watching in the West Division, and hi to everybody who has stayed up all night after the East games because you were so hyped up after that VG AFD series. At any rate, two great teams going to play for us today. Dust Gaming, actually a US team, captained, I think, by Classic, although it might be Chim. No, I think it is Classic. So they're a US team. They've done quite well for themselves. We saw them play pretty well in the We Play Round 1. They did get eliminated. They were third in their group, but still managed to avail themselves pretty well in that tournament. And then Netolic.SA, a Peruvian team, sort of a Peruvian all-star squad, in fact, formed from the merger of the previous Netolic.SA team and Ice Gaming, which was a team that was really dominating some of those semi-pro Latin competitions. And so both these teams very good. I believe they both placed 2-1 in their groups, and so they carried those groups, and here they are in the winner's bracket. The winner of this best-of-3 series will move on to the winner's bracket round 2, while the loser will drop down to the loser's bracket. They won't be eliminated, but it will be a hard route for them from there. And El Prez, what do you have to say about this draft so far?
Well, so far it seems fairly standard coming out of both sides. That said, the Keeper of Light was paired up with the Lifestealer, and I know Lifestealer is one of Ben Haas's favorites. That's one of his favorite carries to be playing when he does. That said, the Keeper of Light doesn't really offer a lot to Lifestealer as a whole. He's just a strong overall hero. The only problem with the Keeper of Light pick was that came at the expense of Dust picking up the Nyx Assassin. And Nyx Assassin basically eats Keeper of the Light for breakfast. Not only is the Illuminate very easy to reflect, Keeper of the Light is an intelligence hero, and as a result takes lots of damage from the Nyx Assassin. Likewise, Dust picks up the Shadow Demon, who's phenomenal against Lifestealer, capable of shutting down his targeting and slowing him down through his rage, and Juggernaut, who does insane amounts of damage to Lifestealer because most of his damage is physical in nature, namely his Omnislash.
Yeah. I gotta say, Netolic's lineup, it's good, but it's sort of just a grab bag of excellent heroes. The Nature's Prophet, the Lifestealer, the Keeper of the Light. There is that synergy that is stressed by many teams of Lifestealer and Nature's Prophet, where the Lifestealer can use this Infest ultimate to actually hide inside that Nature's Prophet, and then pop out to deal incredible amounts of damage later. But I feel like teams might actually overrate that a tiny bit. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong here, and maybe you can correct me. But I feel like sometimes teams will sort of do that at the expense of actually farming up the lifesteal or really getting any progression. And sometimes it can be difficult, even with a teleporting Nature's Prophet, to really find that perfect infest that will turn the tide of a game.
Personally, I prefer Storm Spirit just because I think Storm Spirit is a stronger mid-hero. There isn't a lot of hard disables really being packed up anymore in most pro games. For example, if you look at Dust's lineup, the only hard stun is coming out of Nyx.
Sure. And
it's on a fairly long cooldown. If you look at Netolic.SA, no hard disables at all.
Right.
So I think Storm Spirit works very well in these environments. That said, Nature's Prophet usually gets an Orchid if he's going for a specific kind of build that isn't the carry build for Nature's Prophet. I really like the Dust banned out the Weaver, because that is a hero that South American teams favor a lot.
And another hero that Ben Haas plays a lot as well.
So that's pretty interesting. I know Dust and Netolic.SA have met up a lot in the Raid Call Americas tournament, so I think they met up a couple of times. So I think they're fairly familiar with each other as far as how they play.
Yeah, we just saw them discussing setting up some permanent scrimming situations, so that'll let them download each other even more. But for now, it's just restricted to their sort of meeting each other in some of these ongoing tournaments that this organization has hosted. And so I actually have not gotten to cast these two teams going against each other. I've seen them both. Oh, the respect ban. So this is this morning or this afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. Netolic.SA actually played up against Kaipi, so the up-and-coming European team, in the Big Point Battle tournament. And in that tournament, they actually drafted and won with a Pudge. It was actually a very dominant performance coming out from Monra on that Pudge. So that's just a pure respect ban from Dust. They were clearly watching that game.
It's kind of interesting just because Nyx and Jug are fairly good at handling the Pudge as a whole. And Shadow Demon can ruin a Pudge's abilities to do anything. You just, disrupt the Pudge, and all of a sudden everything Pudge is doing disappears. Mm-hmm. That said, it's kind of hard to justify Pudge in non-land setting because in a non-land setting, even a small ping difference could make the difference between him succeeding or failing.
Sure.
That said, I guess they would be fairly comfortable. They are playing on US East, so Netolic.SA would have the ping disadvantage in this tournament because they are from Peru, but it wouldn't be that significant compared to playing on European servers.
Dust are mostly West Coast, actually. So it might not be the end of the world because West Coast ping to East Coast isn't that much worse than South American ping. It's better, but it's not that much better.
Yeah,
I don't think lag will play that primary of a role in this, honestly.
Well, it won't now that Pudge is gone. So.
Sure, of course. I mean, just in general, obviously. Certainly. There are other fiddly heroes that are difficult to navigate with the lag. I was going to say that if Netolic.SA do want that Storm Spirit, like you suggested, they do still have room for it. And even with the Lion pick, they still have room for it. Lion, another hero that I really see a lot of South American teams going to again and again. And Netolic.SA have picked it up quite a bit as well, up for Zenders or Dement, their two support players.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really like Lion as a hero. I think he brings a lot of utility to the field. I think he's going to have an issue because Nyx Assassin loves eating lions. Kind of reminds me, there's actually a really funny video that I just saw that was called Lion Goes Jungling. There was a Storm Spirit though, but basically it's in the jungle, a lion sleeps tonight, and then it's a Bane who nightmared a lion.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's actually really funny. I suggest everyone go watch it. It's really amusing. But I really like the Storm Spirit pick. I think he's going to be phenomenal in this matchup.
Yeah. I think they sort of took the wind out of Netolic's sails as well, because I suspect that they actually did want that Storm Spirit for their mid. And Dust have not only banned out the Pudge and the Queen of Pain, and the TA is gone, and the Magnus, but they also steal the Storm Spirit right out from Netolic's 5th pick. I really think they were looking to actually secure that, so they'd have two possible infest targets for the Lifestealer, essentially global presence on multiple heroes, as well as anyone that the Keeper of the Light chooses to summon to himself with his recall utility. And now they sort of don't have access to that. They're going to have to scramble for an alternative mid, or maybe even use one of the heroes they already have.
Good one. Silencer is a good pick for Netolic. They should go for the Silencer. Not only does Silencer ruin Storm Spirit, he does phenomenally. He's a pretty strong ganker as a whole, and he can put out a lot of damage given enough farm. He is a natural mech holder, so that does mean that Nature's Prophet won't have to build it himself, and instead he can go for Orchids and more high-priority items instead. And Silencer does function quite well as a 3-roll. That would mean that Nature's Prophet is off-laning, and the tri-lane would be Lion, Keeper of the Light, and Lifestealer. But I feel like that's perfectly fine for Netolic.SA.
And if you don't feel confident in the tri-lane, they could always send the Nature's Prophet to the jungle, still run that tri-lane, and still have the Silencer mid if they chose to do so. What about OD? Oh no, they go for Puck. How did I forget Puck? Puck is an excellent pick as well. I am shocked at myself that I forgot about the existence of Puck.
Ooh, Bounty Hunter.
Bounty Hunter. And they actually, from the hip too, so they were ready for this. They planned to take that Bounty Hunter.
I don't know how I feel about Bounty Hunter in this particular matchup. Bounty Hunter's not too good at ganking Nature's Prophet unless he gets an Orchid. And I guess Orchid is going to be a high priority item, honestly, anyways, because there is not a single person on Netolic.SA's team lineup that likes being silenced.
Right.
Like, if you had like a Drow Ranger on the enemy team or, something like a Jug doesn't care about being silenced.
Of course.
Lifestealer really dislikes being silenced because that prevents him from using his Rage.
Sure.
And for him, Rage is literally the end-all be-all for him. If he can't prevent himself from being disabled, he is basically going to kite it to infinity and beyond.
Sure. Quick PSA note, just completely unrelated to what you said, but I do want to quickly point out, if anybody is actually experiencing lag issues on the stream, we do like to hear about it in the chat, but the first thing you should generally try is remove, if you're doing 720 plus, just change it to 720. 720 plus has pretty much been bugged all tournament. I'm not exactly sure why. We've asked Twitch TV about it, but regardless, just switch it to 720. It should be substantially less laggy for you, and if you still experience serious lag, then go ahead and complain to Twitch TV, and we'll try to fix it. Why don't we go ahead and introduce the lineups? Elprez, you want to take up Netolic.SA?
Alright, we got Dement taking the Lion. In the solo mid, we're seeing Moonra on Puck. Zender will be taking the Keeper of the Light. Ben Haas playing his signature Lifestealer, and Daiko playing offlane on the Nature's Prophet, probably. Might be jungle.
And
hard to say.
Fairly typical positions for all these guys as well. Looking up towards Dust Gaming, we will have Ush, their solo mid player, on the Storm Spirit. I've seen him play Storm before, and he's sometimes maybe gotten a little bit too hyped, so we'll see if he's calmed his beard a little bit for today's game. Then Classic will be taking up almost certainly the solo hard lane as this Bounty Hunter. We see a little bit of pooled gold onto him already, Poor Man's Shield, and then a Tango and a Healing Salve on top of it. Chim supporting on the Shadow Demon, Sna taking up the other support role as the Nyx Assassin, and finally John, their hard carry player, playing a Juggernaut today.
Yeah, I actually think both sides have drafted a fantastic lineup. I think this is a really strong lineup for both. That said, I feel like the Storm Spirit pick is really going to do a lot of work for Dust as a whole. If we look at the number of disables that Netolic have, it's really only the Lion, and I guess the Puck has the Silence that could ruin Storm Spirit's day.
Sure.
But all things considered, I feel like Ush won't have a problem doing any of his ganking. Plus, very easy for a Storm Spirit to get a kill on a Nature's Prophet, along the lines of it's very easy for Clockwork to get the jump on a tanker. Yeah. He can just come out from outside of his vision, disable, get the kill, and get out. And there's no problems with that.
Right. Now, I did want to make one note about the Bounty Hunter. Yes, Bounty Hunter doesn't always have the easiest time picking off Nature's Prophet in a gank, but the flip side of that is they do have this Storm Spirit to add on to that. He's going to definitely go a Quick Orchid, so in combination with the Bounty Hunter, that does mean that they can pick off Nature's Prophet much easier, I think. A little bit of harassment already getting thrown out on Classic. The Illuminate actually comes through and deals a lot of damage. No threat to actually kill him, but nonetheless, that's Classic already being harassed a bit early. Whereas you do see Daiko has gone directly to the jungle. Do not pass go, don't enter the hard lane, and don't collect any gold until you begin jungling.
Yeah, I think this is definitely his best choice because I know he would not have done well against this tri-lane. We're talking about a easy disable to land. It's not really a good disable in terms of like letting you get attacks on them, but disruption does get very easy to set up everything else. Yeah. Namely the Jug. Jug with Blade Fury, that's an instant death for a Nature's Prophet this early on. There's nothing that they can do about it because he honestly has no escapes, so it makes it very, very hard for him to survive any gank attempts in the hard lane. I actually thought it's...
Sorry, go ahead.
No problem. You can finish your thought first.
I was just saying that both carries have gotten pretty good starts. We do see them finding their farm. Ben Haas, of course, one of the stronger farmers in the South American scene, I think. For a while, I would have said that I thought him basically one of the strongest farmer. But now that I've seen some of these games coming out from Arctic's carry Iwo, I'm not sure anymore. Because 2 3-minute Midases do present a compelling evidence that there is a farmer who's even more meticulous about it than Ben Haas is. But nonetheless, John from Dust Gaming doing some good last hitting under towers as well. So far, both teams, I think, getting their exact... They didn't really expect much better than what they're getting now. So they're just sort of developing that out, going to try to get a couple levels on this Nyx Assassin, this Shadow Demon. I think we might actually see these guys start to roam, maybe earlier than we would expect Netolic's supports to start roaming.
I completely agree. It's just because of the nature of Dust's supports. They would actually do a lot of work just picking off a couple of people really quickly. Interestingly, Sna didn't get a single point in any of his abilities so far, so I think he's deciding whether or not he wants to harass with the Mana Burn. I don't suggest that, or getting the Impale. And yeah, they definitely should start roaming because there is literally no reason for them to be up here.
It's just to get a couple levels, I guess, but yeah.
It's an empty lane though, so it's like they don't really need to protect this Jug. He's that safe.
Yeah, I agree. He's completely safe. Just in terms of, they were doing jungle pulls and stacks, that gets them a little bit of XP. I think they want Sna. Well, actually, he is level 2 now. I guess he was deciding, as you said, between Mana Burner and Impale for his first pick.
Oh, mid.
So he's like, why not both? Mid? No, I think Ush is fine. He does have to pop off Healing Cell, but keep in mind he's holding a regen. Meanwhile, in bot, actually, a stun getting thrown out on Classic, and he's way beyond the Sentry Ward. Unfortunately, Keeper of the Light isn't actually here to take advantage of this. So Classic will get out. Dement just throwing out a little bit more harass onto this Bounty Hunter. Actually, Bounty Hunter's still holding on to that healing self, so he's okay. Meanwhile, Dust pressuring quite heavily here. They've actually done a little bit of a Nyx Assassin creep pull special here. John and Sna just completely tanking this lane out, pushing the lane into it a little bit more, pushing these creeps in so that they can get a bit of harassment on this tower. And that's a substantial amount of damage, 547 hit points already, whereas there hasn't been a scratch made to this mid tower.
I feel like Netolic needs to really make a play here and try to disable Dust in mid and get a gank off onto Ush before he hits that crucial level 6. Storm Spirit pre-level 6, very gankable, very killable, very squishy.
Absolutely.
Not a lot going for him. He does have, other than 6 base armor, which is phenomenal, but
it's good armor.
It's a lot of base armor.
Sure.
That said, we do see Zender and Daiko moving up to top.
Daiko stealing that DD room. That's actually... Ush really wanted that, but will Daiko pay for it with his life? This definitely isn't worth it if he gives up first blood for it, but Ush doesn't have TP. I mean, sorry, he doesn't have Ball Lightning. One more hit will get it. One more hit will secure the first blood. He gets it. And actually, Munra taking a lot of damage as well, but Impale goes through. Oh, wow, what a huge play. He Ball Lightnings through the Illuminate and manages to kill the puck with it. So that's 2-0. What a great start for Ush. Sometimes we find that if he falls behind early, he can just sort of stay behind and keep trying to make plays unsuccessfully. But here he actually starts with 2 kills. Meanwhile, Classic in a lot of trouble here. The Impale goes through. Damage from Benhaz. One more last hit. They get him. And so Classic will take a fall. Midas done for Benhaz, so shorter than a 5-minute Midas' first activation of it coming through just now, and this will be some extra gold for him. But still, Dust, I think, are happy to trade this Bounty Hunter for 2 kills, including the first blood on the Storm Spirit.
I completely agree. I cannot believe that he did that so effectively. That was just some fantastic play coming out of Ush there. A great ball lightning timing, basically. You want him that mid lane. Puck is now only level 5, where Ush is level 7, so that's a huge lead for him. And that's a big deal too. It's level 6 for Storm Spirit is crucial. That's when he gets his max, gets his first point ball lightning, and level 7 he maxes overload. So,
no, I mean, absolutely. This is going to be a fantastic start for Ush, and he really wants that. He is an aggressive mid player. In terms of Storm Spirits, he's closer to Roxkiss's solo, I think, than some of the more conservative ones we've seen. So he really is able to just turn an early lead, I feel, into the sort of killing and continual success that he wants. In
the words of Draskell from yesterday, somewhere Blitz is smiling, satisfied. After Korok's monster rampage with Storm Spirit.
Yeah, in the Dignitas Liquid game.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, Liquid did end up losing that. So it's not enough sometimes to have a big Storm Spirit. You need something more, and I think John is looking to provide that something more. They've got 42 last hits each, of course. Benhaz with vastly more denies, but John, of course, has had more of a target of pushing the lane into the tower, whereas Benhaz has been more, let's deny as much XP to the Bounty Hunter as possible, and successfully so. You do see this Bounty Hunter Classic actually languishing at level 3, while the attendant, like quote-unquote offlane player Daiko, even with a death, he's actually at level 5, so 2 levels ahead of Bounty Hunter.
Yeah, at this point, it's like it feels like this Bounty Hunter was a little bit of a poor pick.
He pops out. Will he get the lasso? Excellent Waning Rift from Munra. Stops that thing. You were saying Bounty Hunter bad pick?
I'm feeling like Bounty Hunter might have been an underwhelming pick in this given scenario, just because I feel like, yeah, it is just too easy to keep Bounty Hunter down in lane. I don't remember if Darkster was banned, but
he was.
Yeah, he probably was. I'm trying to think of which other offlanders would be good in this given situation. Lone Druid was banned.
He was banned in the first phase.
It's hard to say, honestly. I don't know how I feel about this Bounty Hunter pick as a whole, though, because we are seeing that if Bounty Hunter can't get to level 6, he's not really contributing much to his team anymore, and that's my phone.
I was wondering, I was like, there's no Wisp in this game. Why is something making Wisp noises? At any rate, we do have... Honestly, I feel like Dust, even with this Bounty Hunter, they may have to find a place to actually find the Bounty Hunter some XP sooner or later. Although in this 1v1 lane, he actually feels okay. We see him about... Classic is about halfway through level 4, so he will eventually hit that 6, and Bounty Hunter can contribute even if he hits 6 a little bit late. It's not exactly the end of the world for him. And of course, if the Storm Spirit is getting hype, if he's running around just getting kills everywhere, then the Bounty Hunter really is able to leverage that into more gold for the entire team through track kills. So I think that's Dust's overall game plan, and I wouldn't call it stuffed yet. Maybe they wanted Classic to hit a higher level before now, but he's certainly not low. I mean, he's going to be able to make it. It's not like he's level 1 or level 2 right now. He is level 4, almost level 5. Actually, a big dive from Ush, but again, Munra. Actually, no, he eats the lasso, and there he goes. Puck is down. I'm surprised he didn't have the Waning Rift timing that he actually found in the first time that Wush went on him. But this Storm Spirit, now 3-0, and he may be able to make opportunities where just Bounty Hunter alone would not be able to. Snot taking a lot of damage. The harassment will be enough. Just this tower damage, they've paid a lot for this tower. Actually, the deny comes out as well, so they lose Sna and Nyx Assassin. John will have to flee, and Netolic find the deny, and that's not quite the victory that Dust were looking for in this top lane. Still ahead, still doing well, but meanwhile, Munra is getting pretty fierce. He's gone this Midas. He has a phase boots on top of it, 700 gold, 61 for 39 on the creep kills. I mean, my god, that's a lot of denies. That's a big reason why Classic is as low as he is. But halfway through level 5 is Classic, and they may try to make something happen here. It looks like they're going to throw out an Impale. It will land on Daiko. The Earth Spike to respawn, but no mana on Daiko. But he might get away. Good Hex from Dement there, actually. Very good protection. And actually a double kill for Puck while I was watching clearly the wrong lane. There was actually in the lane I was watching as well. But I missed a double kill for Munra, completely turning around their fate in this middle lane. He manages to pick off both Ush and Chim in the middle, and that's an excellent turnaround for Netolic.SA overall.
It's definitely a big win. Interestingly, and this kind of bugs me a little bit, Sorcerer is opting to pick up a little bit more int items